Europe, the birthplace of civilization, empire, and enlightenment, yet beneath its cobblestone streets and royal castles lie questions no historian has ever answered. What ancient forces built monuments that defy logic? What secrets did kings and popes take to their graves? And why do some European cities simply vanish from the map forever? Europe's ancient lands whisper stories older than time itself. Long before kings, castles, or cathedrals, this continent was home to civilizations that left behind monuments so vast and mysterious, even modern science struggles to explain them. These stones have stood for thousands of years, silent witnesses to human ingenuity, belief, and perhaps something beyond our understanding. Take Stonehenge, for example, one of the most famous prehistoric sites in the world. Rising from the Salisbury Plain in England, its giant stones have captured human imagination for centuries. Archaeologists believe it was built around 3000 BC, but the true purpose of Stonehenge remains a riddle. Was it an astronomical calendar, a place of healing, a burial site? Or perhaps a gateway between the world of the living and the dead? Each of its stones, weighing up to 25 tons, was transported from as far as Wales, nearly 150 miles away. How ancient people, without wheels or iron tools, managed to haul and erect these stones in perfect alignment with the solstices is a feat that defies simple explanation. Even more perplexing, magnetic tests show energy anomalies within the stones themselves. Did they understand something about the Earth's natural forces that we've forgotten? And Stonehenge is just the beginning. Travel south to France and you will find the Carnac stones, a sprawling field of over 3,000 standing stones stretching across the Brittany countryside. Erected around 4500 BC, these megaliths form perfect rows, some extending for kilometers. Each stone stands like a sentinel, silent and immovable, their purpose shrouded in mystery. Local legends claim they were Roman soldiers turned to stone by a wizard. Others believe they mark the pathways of ancient celestial movements or serve as an enormous prehistoric energy grid. But no one, not even the best minds in archaeology, can explain how or why they were arranged with such mathematical precision. Then there's Newgrange in Ireland, older than the pyramids of Egypt. This ancient tomb, built over 5,000 years ago, was designed so that during the winter solstice, sunlight pierces through a narrow passage and illuminates a hidden chamber deep inside. For a brief few minutes each year, the entire tomb glows with golden light, as if the ancestors themselves rise from darkness to greet the sun. How did people living millennia before the invention of written language achieve such astronomical perfection? Was it a coincidence, or did they possess a forgotten understanding of the cosmos? Across Europe, the pattern repeats: monumental structures built with impossible precision, yet no records, no tools, and no clear reason why. On the rugged Orkney Islands of Scotland lies Skara Brae, a Neolithic village preserved so perfectly it looks as if its inhabitants simply vanished overnight. The stone houses, complete with furniture, hearths, and even plumbing-like systems, suggest an advanced society. Yet there's no sign of war, famine, or natural disaster. What made them leave? Where did they go? Further east in Malta stand the Giganteja temples, named after giants in Maltese legend. Locals say they were built by a race of giant beings who walked the earth before humans. Archaeologists date them to around 3600 BC, among the oldest freestanding structures in the world. Each stone block weighs several tons, some as much as 50, yet even with modern cranes. Reconstructing such a temple today would be a monumental challenge. These people were not supposed to have the technology or knowledge to achieve this level of engineering, and yet, here it stands. And in the mountains of the Basque Country, myths tell of the Gentiles, giant builders who erected dolmens before disappearing into the earth when Christianity spread across Europe. Intriguingly, dolmens, stone burial chambers, dot the European landscape from Portugal to Russia, all sharing eerily similar designs despite being thousands of miles apart. How did separate cultures, separated by mountains, rivers, and language, all arrive at the same architectural idea? Was there a shared influence or something much deeper, something lost in the fog of prehistory? Let's not forget the Nebra sky disk, discovered in Germany. This bronze artifact, over 3,500 years old, depicts the stars, the sun, and the moon, and it is considered the world's oldest known map of the heavens. The people who created it understood astronomical alignments with astonishing accuracy. How did they acquire such celestial knowledge at a time when even writing was rare in Europe? Some scholars suggest it hints at an advanced, interconnected culture that predated known civilizations, one capable of tracking time and the stars with near-modern sophistication. Everywhere you turn in ancient Europe, there are traces of something or someone just beyond our understanding. The builders of these monuments didn't leave written records. They left stone, massive, unyielding, eternal stone, carved with purpose but devoid of clear meaning. Modern technology can date, scan, and measure, but it cannot explain intention. It cannot decode the silence that lingers between the stones. Theories range from the practical to the paranormal. Some believe these monuments were early observatories, aligned with the stars to guide planting and harvest seasons. Others say they were sacred sites, portals between the human world and the divine. Then there are those who think these were messages left by an ancient culture that vanished before written history began. Whatever their origin, these ancient enigmas continue to defy logic. They suggest a time when human beings were capable of feats we can fully replicate, guided by knowledge we no longer possess. Every stone tells a story, one carved not by chance but by intention. And though the voices that built them have faded, their work still stands, a reminder that history is far older and far stranger than we've been taught. Throughout Europe's long and tangled history, entire civilizations have emerged, flourished, and then vanished. Some left behind walls of stone, others fragments of myth, and some nothing at all. Their names echo faintly in the chronicles of neighboring peoples or in the whispered folklore of villages built upon their ruins. But who were they? Why did they disappear? And could their disappearance hold clues to secrets long buried beneath European soil? Far to the southwest, near the mouth of the Guadalquivir River in Spain, lies one of Europe's greatest archaeological enigmas, the lost city of Tartessos. Ancient Greek writers described Tartessos as a wealthy and mysterious kingdom rich in silver and gold. Trading across the seas long before the rise of Rome, it was said to be ruled by King Argentonio, whose name means man of silver. But around the 6th century BC, this civilization suddenly vanished from the record. Archaeologists have searched for its remains for centuries, unearthing fragments of walls, pottery, and bronze that hint at a once prosperous port city. Some say Tartessos was destroyed by natural disaster, others by war, and some even suggest it was the inspiration for the legend of Atlantis. Whatever the truth, the silence of Tartessos is deafening, its people gone, its language lost, its glory swallowed by time. To the north, in the cold waters of the Baltic Sea, legend speaks of Veneta, the Atlantis of the north. Medieval texts describe it as a magnificent trading city, the richest in all of Europe, so full of luxury and sin that the sea itself rose up to swallow it. According to local fishermen, on quiet days they can still hear the church bells ringing beneath the waves. Archaeologists have identified several potential sites along the German and Polish coasts, but no definitive proof has ever surfaced. Was Veneta a real city consumed by flood or a moral tale invented to warn against human greed? Whatever it was, something once stood there, and whatever stood there is now gone. In the heart of the Aegean lies another lost world, Thera, now known as Santorini. Around 1600 BC, the island erupted in one of the most catastrophic volcanic explosions in human history. Entire settlements were buried beneath ash, including the advanced city of Akrotiri. When excavated, Akrotiri revealed multi-story houses, frescoes, drainage systems, and artistry rivaling that of later classical Greece. Then, in an instant, it was gone. The eruption not only destroyed the island but sent shockwaves through the surrounding civilizations. Many historians believe this disaster may have given birth to the legend of Atlantis itself, a powerful reminder that nature can erase greatness in a single breath. In the mountains of northern Italy, long before the Romans, there lived the Etruscans, a civilization of mystery. They built thriving cities, traded with the Greeks, and influenced early Rome in art, religion, and architecture, but their language remains largely undeciphered and their origins are unknown. Within just a few generations after Rome's rise, the Etruscans disappeared as if absorbed by the empire. But their legacy remains woven into European culture, hidden beneath Latin words, ancient roads, and forgotten gods. Even now, tomb paintings show faces of people who smile at us across millennia, their eyes full of stories we'll never truly know. To the east, in what is now Bulgaria, lies the Varna necropolis, a burial site older than Egypt's pyramids. When it was discovered, archaeologists were stunned. Graves filled with the oldest known gold artifacts in the world. The people buried there belonged to a culture so advanced that their social hierarchy, craftsmanship, and maritime trade defied all expectations of Neolithic society. And yet, just a few centuries later, they were gone. There was no invasion, no obvious catastrophe, only silence. What could have wiped out such a thriving, wealthy community? Disease? Climate collapse? Or something we haven't yet uncovered? Then there are the Basques, not vanished, but surviving as a living enigma. Their language, Euskara, is unrelated to any other tongue on Earth, older than Latin, Greek, or even Celtic. It's a linguistic fossil, a remnant of Europe before Indo-European migration. The Basques may be the descendants of an ancient culture that once stretched across Western Europe, one that slowly faded as waves of new peoples arrived. Their endurance is living, proof that some mysteries don't disappear completely. They simply adapt and endure beneath the surface of modern identity. But not every lost city existed in prehistory. Some vanished in plain sight, swallowed by war or nature. In the Highlands of Scotland, the Picts, a fierce and secretive people, built stone towers and left behind intricate carvings covered in symbols that no one can read. When the Scots united their kingdom, the Picts simply ceased to exist as a people. Their culture faded, their language died, and their meaning was erased from the written record. Yet their stones remain, marked with animals, spirals, and geometric signs that seem to speak in riddles. Further south, in the marshes of Italy, lies Spina, an ancient port that once thrived during the Etruscan age. It was a hub of trade connecting the Adriatic to the heart of the continent. But one day, the tides changed. The city was buried under silt, forgotten until the 20th century, when plows unearthed Greek pottery where there should have been nothing. Spina's rediscovery revealed a city that shouldn't have existed and reminded us that time doesn't erase, it merely hides. Even the mighty Celts, whose culture once spanned from Ireland to Turkey, suffered a kind of disappearance. They were never wiped out by war, but by assimilation. Rome conquered, Christianity spread, and their myths became folklore. Their sacred sites, hill forts, stone circles, holy wells still dot the landscape, silent witnesses to a people who ruled by spirit rather than sword. The Celts vanished not in destruction but in transformation, leaving behind echoes in languages, art, and song. And then there are the ghost towns of Europe's settlements buried by sand, consumed by forest, or drowned beneath lakes. Entire medieval villages lie preserved beneath the waters of reservoirs in Spain and France, waiting for dry seasons to reappear like phantoms from the past. These places remind us that, even in modern times, disappearance is not a relic of the past. It continues, quietly, in the corners of the continent. Every vanished civilization tells the same silent story. Greatness, mystery, and oblivion woven together through centuries. They built, they dreamed, they disappeared, and yet, through fragments of pottery, buried gold, and the whispers of old myths, they still speak to us, telling us that Europe's soil is layered not just with history, but with entire worlds we've forgotten ever existed. Europe is a land built on faith cathedrals scraping the sky, monasteries hidden in mist, and relics said to hold divine power. But beneath the gilded altars and the stained glass windows lies another Europa continent of secret sects, forbidden symbols and hidden truths guarded by those who feared what the world might do if it ever found out. For every miracle recorded by priests, there is a shadow of something unexplainable, something that blurs the line between the sacred and the supernatural. Among the most enduring mysteries is the quest for the Holy Grail, Described as the cup used by Christ at the Last Supper, the Grail has been said to grant eternal life, heal the sick, and reveal divine truth. Yet no one knows if it ever truly existed. From the Arthurian legends of Britain to the Templars of France, the search for the Grail has shaped kingdoms and inspired crusades. Some believe it was not a cup at all, but a symbol of enlightenment, of divine bloodline, or of lost spiritual knowledge hidden away from the church. Monks, knights, and secret orders dedicated centuries to finding it, often vanishing in their pursuit. Even today, whispers persist that the Grail rests in a monastery deep in the Pyrenees, or perhaps beneath the ruins of Rennes-le-Château, where coded manuscripts and symbols carved into stone hint at secrets too dangerous to reveal. In Turin, Italy, lies another enigma, the Shroud of Turin. To some, it is the burial cloth of Jesus Christ, miraculously imprinted with his image at the moment of resurrection. To others, it is a medieval forgery, a clever trick of art and devotion. Yet, despite decades of scientific testing, no one has been able to explain how the faint, three-dimensional image was created. Carbon dating offers conflicting results. The fabric contains traces of pollen from plants native only to the Middle East, and the anatomy of the figure down to the bloodstains and wounds matches perfectly with the story of crucifixion. If it is genuine, the shroud could be the most powerful relic in existence. If it is not, then it is one of history's most masterful illusions. Either way, it stands as a riddle the Church itself has never fully solved. But perhaps no order has drawn more speculation and secrecy than the Knights Templar. Founded in the 12th century to protect Christian pilgrims in the Holy Land, they quickly became Europe's most powerful and mysterious brotherhood. They built fortresses across the continent, amassed vast wealth, and seemed to possess knowledge far beyond their time. Legends claim they unearthed relics beneath the Temple of Solomon, perhaps even the Ark of the Covenant or the Grail itself. When the Church turned against them in the early 1300s, accusing them of heresy, blasphemy, and devil worship, hundreds were burned at the stake. When their leader Jacques de Molay cursed his accusers as he died, France's King Philip IV and Pope Clement V both met sudden deaths within a year. The Templars vanished from history, but their symbols, their codes, and their influence live on in the architecture of Europe and the myths of secret societies that followed. In the shadows of the Templars rose new groups, the Rosicrucians, the Freemasons, and the Illuminati, each claiming to possess ancient wisdom passed down through secret rites. The Rosicrucians spoke of an invisible college of enlightened men who could harness the forces of nature. The Freemasons, heirs to medieval builders, encoded geometry, astronomy, and moral philosophy into their rituals. And the Illuminati, born in 18th century Bavaria, sought to unite reason and freedom in defiance of monarchs and clergy alike. Were they idealists, or did they inherit something older, something that predated even the Church itself? Hidden within Europe's churches are clues that suggest a deeper, more secret understanding of the divine. The Cathedral of Chartres, for example, is covered in symbols of alchemy and astrology. Its labyrinth mirrors the patterns of ancient mystery schools, leading some to believe that its builders encoded spiritual knowledge within the stones. In Rome, St. Peter's Basilica stands as the heart of Catholicism, yet its design echoes the geometry of pagan temples. Even the Vatican archives, stretching for miles beneath the city, hold documents that have never been made public, texts said to contain banned gospels, records of exorcisms, and letters that could rewrite the Church's version of history. Beyond the walls of religion, Europe has always danced with the occult. In Prague, the so-called Magic City, Emperor Rudolf II gathered astrologers, alchemists, and mystics to unlock the secrets of the universe. It was there that the Emerald Tablet, said to contain the formula for transforming base metals into gold and achieving spiritual immortality, became legend. In the manuscripts of medieval Europe, alchemists claimed they could summon spirits, bend nature to their will, and speak with angels. The Church called it heresy, yet even popes kept astrologers by their side. The boundary between faith and forbidden knowledge was never as clear as history wants us to believe. In Spain, the Cathars of the 12th century preached a pure form of Christianity that rejected the material world as evil. They claimed to hold a secret gospel, one that revealed the true nature of God and creation. For this, the church launched the Albigensian Crusade, wiping them out entirely. But rumors persist that the Cathars hid their greatest treasure before their final stand at Montségur, a relic said to be none other than the Holy Grail itself. When the fortress fell, the last of the Cathars walked into the flames singing hymns, taking their secret with them forever. Across centuries, Europe's faith has been both a beacon and a veil. Miracles, relics, and rituals shaped its identity, but so too did the fear of what might lie beyond sanctioned belief. From the blood relics of Bruges to the incorruptible saints of Italy, from alchemists in hidden cellars to popes in golden halls, every mystery points to the same question. How much truth has been hidden in the name of faith, and how much power lies in the secrets still kept? Europe's story of religion is not just one of worship, but of concealment of sacred knowledge guarded by few and forbidden wisdom sought by many. The relics, the brotherhoods, the symbols carved in stone, all whisper that the divine and the mysterious have always walked side by side, shaping the continent in ways we are only beginning to understand. Power in Europe was never just inherited. It was seized, stolen, or vanished without explanation. Behind the grandeur of palaces and the glitter of crowns lies a darker truth, that history's most powerful rulers were also its most vulnerable. Every dynasty carried secrets locked away in bloodlines, whispers of betrayal, and disappearances that rewrote the course of nations. The throne was never just a seat of power. It was a stage where intrigue, fear, and deception ruled behind the curtain. In the heart of England, the story of the princes in the Tower remains one of the most chilling royal enigmas. In 1483, two young heirs, Edward V, aged 12, and his brother Richard, Duke of York, aged 9, were locked in the Tower of London by their uncle, Richard, Duke of Gloucester. Within months, they vanished. No bodies were ever found, no official story ever told. When Richard declared himself king, whispers spread that he had ordered their deaths to secure his crown. Centuries later, bones believed to belong to the princes were discovered beneath a staircase. Yet even modern DNA testing has never confirmed their identity. Were they murdered? Were they smuggled to safety? The fate of those two children remains one of England's most haunting political secrets, a silence at the center of monarchy itself. But England was not alone in its royal mysteries. Across the Channel, France's royal bloodline carried secrets soaked in revolution. When King Louis XVI and Queen Marie Antoinette were executed in 1793, their son, the Dauphin, Louis XVII, was imprisoned in a cold, dark cell. Officially, he died there at the age of 10, but almost immediately, impostors began to appear across Europe, each claiming to be the lost prince. One even gained followers among the aristocracy. It wasn't until the late 20th century that DNA tests confirmed the heart preserved in a glass jar in Paris indeed belonged to the Dauphin. But that confirmation only deepened the mystery. If his body was truly in that cell, who were the dozens of young men who appeared afterward, speaking with royal accents and memories of Versailles that no commoner could have known? Further east in Russia, the fall of the Romanov dynasty still casts a shadow. On a July night in 1918, Tsar Nicholas II, his wife Alexandra, and their 5 children were executed by Bolshevik revolutionaries. The world mourned their deaths, but soon after, stories emerged that one of the daughters, Anastasia, had survived. For decades, women claiming to be the lost princes appeared across Europe, most famously Anna Anderson, whose mysterious knowledge of the Romanovs baffled even skeptics. When her DNA was finally tested decades later, it disproved her claim, but the legend of Anastasia had already taken root. And when the real remains of the Romanov family were exhumed in the 1990s, 2 bodies were missing. Later discoveries filled the gaps, yet some Russians still believe one or more of the royal children escaped that fateful night. Royal intrigue didn't just vanish with the end of monarchies, it evolved. In Austria, the Habsburg dynasty was marked by secrecy and tragedy. The most infamous was the death of Crown Prince Rudolf in 1889 at Mayerling. Found dead alongside his young mistress, Baroness Mary Vitsera, The official story called it a suicide pact. But inconsistencies abounded, bullet wounds that didn't match, letters that surfaced years later suggesting foul play, and an elaborate cover-up that reeked of political manipulation. Was Rudolf killed for his liberal ideals that threatened the empire? Or was his death staged to conceal something far more scandalous within the royal family? Not even queens were immune to mystery. Mary, Queen of Scots, remains one of history's most enigmatic figures, imprisoned for nearly 19 years before being executed by her cousin, Queen Elizabeth I. Yet questions still linger over the web of deceit that surrounded her downfall. Was she truly guilty of plotting against Elizabeth, or a pawn in a political game orchestrated by those who feared her claim to the English throne? Her coded letters, recently decrypted using 21st century technology, reveal a woman more intelligent, cunning, and trapped than history ever allowed her to appear. In the Netherlands, the death of Prince Maurits of Orange in 1625 sparked centuries of speculation. Some believed he was poisoned by those close to him. Others claimed he succumbed to a mysterious illness. The Dutch court concealed details so carefully that even official records contradict each other. His death ended a chapter of Dutch independence and began one of shadowy political maneuvering that shaped Europe's balance of power for decades. In modern times, royal mysteries have only become more public and more dangerous. Princess Diana's death in 1997 shook the world. The official cause was a tragic car accident in Paris, but suspicions of foul play have never died. Questions about surveillance, missing footage, and strange inconsistencies in witness accounts continue to fuel theories that her death was not an accident at all, but the result of a calculated decision by those in power to silence a woman who had grown too independent, too influential, and too outspoken against the establishment. Beyond individual tragedies, Europe's royal and political mysteries are bound by one thread: control of the truth. In the courts of kings and queens, information was the most dangerous weapon of all. Letters were burned, witnesses silenced, and histories rewritten. The Vatican, the British monarchy, and the great empires of Europe each kept secret archives filled with censored correspondence, treaties hidden from the public, and accounts that told a very different version of history from the one taught in schools. Even the fall of great nations is often surrounded by mystery. In Germany, the death of Adolf Hitler in 1945 remains shrouded in unanswered questions. Soviet accounts claim he took his own life, but the absence of verifiable remains and decades of contradictory intelligence reports kept alive theories that he escaped. From Spain to Argentina, rumors of secret Nazi roots and hidden settlements persist, woven into the darker chapters of post-war Europe, where the boundaries between royal privilege, political corruption, and secret alliances blur into one shadowy story. The deeper we dig into Europe's royal and political past, the clearer it becomes that history's greatest mysteries were often crafted deliberately, not to protect the innocent, but to preserve power. Behind every coronation, treaty, or revolution lies a secret version of events known only to those who wrote them. The missing heirs, the hidden letters, the unexplained deaths, they form a parallel history of Europe, one where truth is as carefully guarded as any crown jewel. For centuries, power in Europe has rested not just on armies and bloodlines, but on the ability to bury secrets deep enough that only the brave or the reckless would dare to uncover them. Each mystery left behind by kings and queens reminds us that history is never what it seems, and that those who ruled the past may still shape the stories we are told today. Europe's history is often told as a march of progress, the slow, steady rise of knowledge from darkness into enlightenment. But hidden within that story are moments that don't fit inventions, and discoveries that appeared centuries too early, technologies that seem to have come from nowhere, and knowledge that shouldn't have existed. These anomalies challenge everything we think we know about how civilization evolved. They suggest that Europe's ancestors might have understood far more than we give them credit for, or that someone, somewhere, left behind traces of a forgotten science. In the heart of ancient Greece, long before the Renaissance, there was a device that baffled modern scientists, the Antikythera Mechanism. Pulled from a shipwreck off the coast of a small Aegean island, it looked like a corroded lump of bronze. But X-rays revealed something extraordinary inside, a system of gears so intricate it could predict solar eclipses, chart planetary movements, and track the cycles of the Olympics. This was no simple clock. It was a mechanical computer built over 2,000 years ago. Nothing like it appeared again in Europe until the 14th century. Who built it? How did they possess such mathematical and engineering precision? Some historians say it was the work of Archimedes or his disciples. Others whisper it was a fragment of knowledge passed down from an even older civilization, one that vanished long before the Greeks rose. But the Antikythera Mechanism is not alone. Across Europe, there are hints of lost science, artifacts that suggest a forgotten understanding of energy, geometry, and nature. The builders of Stonehenge and Newgrange aligned their monuments with astronomical precision that rivals modern observatories. They mapped solstices, equinoxes, and lunar cycles with a level of accuracy that would require advanced observation instruments, yet none have ever been found. How could Neolithic farmers achieve such precision without telescopes, charts, or written records? Did they possess a form of knowledge we no longer recognize? A science rooted in observation, sound, and energy rather than machinery? In France, the medieval cathedrals of Chartres, Amiens, and Reims are not just feats of faith, they are masterpieces of geometry and acoustics. Their architects designed them according to principles of sacred mathematics, using ratios found in nature and harmonic resonance. When choirs sing beneath their vaulted ceilings, the sound waves amplify in perfect harmony, creating tones that seem to shimmer in the air. Modern architects can replicate the effect with digital tools, but in the 12th century, builders achieved it by hand, guided by a knowledge that combined architecture, music, and mysticism. Some believe the cathedral builders were heirs to ancient mystery schools, guardians of a hidden science passed down through symbols rather than books. And then there's the Baghdad Battery, discovered not far from the borders of Europe, a clay jar with a copper cylinder and an iron rod inside. When reconstructed, it produces a small electric charge. If similar technology existed in the ancient Mediterranean, could it explain reports of divine lights in temples or mysterious metal plating found on artifacts that should have corroded centuries ago? Historians dismiss these as coincidences, but every few decades another anomaly emerges. Another reminder that ancient technology may not have been as primitive as we think. In medieval Europe, the leap between superstition and science was often razor-thin. Alchemists working in candlelit chambers sought to turn base metals into gold, but their experiments often led to legitimate breakthroughs: early chemistry, metallurgy, and even optics. Figures like Roger Bacon and Paracelsus claimed to harness natural magic, a force that could transform matter and heal the body. They described atoms, lenses, and even propulsion systems centuries before these ideas appeared in mainstream science. Were they dreamers, or did they have access to texts and teachings now lost to history, perhaps burned, hidden or suppressed by the very institutions that feared them? In the 5th–10th century, the genius Leonardo da Vinci filled his notebooks with sketches of machines that would not be built for 400 years: helicopters, tanks, submarines, and even robots. He designed systems of hydraulics and flight based on an understanding of physics that seemed to belong to another age. Leonardo claimed his ideas came from observing nature, but many of his diagrams bear strange similarities to mechanical concepts found in much older manuscripts, symbols from alchemical texts, geometric codes from Arabic scholars, and even references to Greek treatises that no longer exist. Could Leonardo have been rediscovering something ancient, a forgotten current of knowledge that ran beneath the surface of European history? Even in more recent centuries, Europe's scientific past is filled with events that defy explanation. In the early 20th century, Nikola Tesla, though Serbian-American by residence, drew heavily on European research and traditions of natural philosophy. He spoke of energy fields, wireless power, and frequencies that could transmit electricity through the air, ideas that science is only now beginning to test seriously again. Tesla hinted at older sources of knowledge, referencing vibrations known to the ancients. He believed the Earth itself was a conductor of limitless energy, a theory echoed by myths of ley lines and sacred sites. Across Europe, where ancient monuments align in patterns that correspond to electromagnetic anomalies, archaeologists studying ancient metalwork have found artifacts that seem to show techniques impossible for their time. The Iron Pillar of Delhi, though outside Europe, finds its twin in European relics that resist corrosion in ways modern metallurgy still struggles to replicate. In Scandinavia, Viking craftsmen created swords with molecular patterns that suggest a form of steelmaking centuries ahead of the Industrial Age. The legendary Ulfberth swords contained carbon structures similar to modern carbon steel, requiring temperatures far higher than what was thought possible with 9th century forges. Where did they learn this? Some believe it was knowledge traded from the East. Others suspect it was an independent discovery, quickly lost when the masters who forged them died, taking their secrets to the grave. Throughout the Renaissance, whispers persisted of inventions hidden or destroyed by the church and the crown. Devices that could produce light without flame, engines that ran without fuel, and lenses capable of seeing distant stars. Some inventors vanished after presenting their creations. Others were imprisoned, accused of heresy or witchcraft. In an age where knowledge meant power, certain discoveries may have been suppressed to maintain order, ensuring that only the chosen few controlled the boundary between magic and science. As the centuries passed, Europe's cities became laboratories of invention, but the mysteries did not stop. Strange medieval maps depict coastlines of Antarctica long before its discovery. Ancient accounts describe fire ships that moved without sails and singing stones that vibrated when struck by sunlight. To skeptics, they are myths. To others, they are glimpses into an era when the line between myth and science was not yet drawn, and when humanity may have touched forces that modern science still struggles to define. These anomalies, machines built too early, technologies that appear centuries ahead of their time, forgotten knowledge rediscovered again and again, all suggest a cycle, a pattern of revelation and loss. It is as if Europe's true scientific history lies not in the steady rise of reason, but in waves of discovery and disappearance, leaving behind fragments of brilliance that hint at something far greater, a knowledge that once was and may yet be found again. Europe's soil is layered with the dust of countless empires, Celts, Romans, Vikings, Byzantines. Yet among all these traces of power and progress, there are entire civilizations that seem to simply fade from existence. Cities that once pulsed with life now lie buried in silence, their walls swallowed by time, their people erased without explanation. Throughout Europe, from the misty moors of Scotland to the frozen plains of Siberia, stories persist of entire communities, armies, and cultures that vanished overnight. These disappearances form one of the continent's most haunting enigmas, not just the loss of people, but the loss of memory itself. One of the most famous mysteries begins on a small island off the coast of Scotland, the Flatton Isles, in 1900. 3 lighthouse keepers vanished from their post without a trace. When a supply ship arrived after a violent storm, the light was dark, the doors were locked from the inside, and dinner was left untouched on the table. One chair lay overturned as if someone had risen suddenly. The logbook described strange winds, an odd stillness, and a terrible sense of dread. No bodies were ever found. Some said they were swept away by waves. Others believed they were taken by something not of this world. Over a century later, no one knows what really happened to them, only that the light went out and 3 men were never seen again. But that's just a small echo of a much older and grander mystery. The disappearance of the Minoan civilization on the island of Crete. The Minoans were Europe's first advanced society, flourishing over 3,500 years ago. They built palaces, wrote in mysterious scripts, and traded across the ancient Mediterranean. Then, around 1450 BCE, they vanished almost completely. Their cities were abandoned. Their writing, known as Linear A, remains undeciphered. Many historians point to the eruption of the volcano on nearby Santorini as the cause. But that explosion alone cannot explain why the Minoan culture never recovered. Some archaeologists have found evidence of war and invasion, while others suggest a deeper mystery, perhaps a breakdown in the natural order, a sudden shift in climate, or even a forgotten catastrophe that wiped out their entire way of life. What if the Minoans didn't perish but fled, taking their knowledge and traditions somewhere else, giving rise to new myths and cultures across Europe? Then there's the strange case of the Neolithic builders of Europe, the people who raised the great stone circles, passage tombs and megaliths scattered across the continent. From Portugal to the British Isles, from Malta to Brittany, massive stones align with the stars, marking solstices and eclipses with mathematical perfection. These monuments appear suddenly, around 4000 BCE, as if inspired by a single shared vision, and just as suddenly their builders vanish. No one knows where they came from or where they went. Their graves yield few clues, their language is lost, their identity remains a shadow. Some scholars suggest they were wiped out by Indo-European migrations. Others believe they merged into later tribes, their knowledge diluted and forgotten. But there's a more mysterious theory that these ancient builders were part of a lost European civilization, one that understood the land, the stars, and the forces of nature in ways modern science still cannot explain. The Roanoke colony mystery in America is often cited as history's greatest vanishing act, but Europe has its own versions and far older ones. In Bohuslän, Sweden, rock carvings depict ships, warriors, and rituals from a Bronze Age culture that abruptly disappeared. No evidence of war, famine, or disease. Just silence. In Lake Titicaca, halfway across the world, similar carvings appear, so similar, in fact, that some researchers wonder whether ancient European seafarers once traveled much farther than we believe. Could it be that the people who built the great stone monuments of Europe were wanderers, explorers, whose journeys led them far beyond their own shores, leaving behind a trail of myths and mysteries scattered across continents? And what about the Ninth Roman Legion, the elite force that marched into the mists of northern Britain and never returned? 5,000 trained soldiers vanished, leaving no trace of battle or burial. Roman records, usually meticulous, simply stop mentioning them. Some say they were ambushed by Pictish tribes and annihilated. Others believe they deserted, escaping into the wilds to live among the locals. Yet, artifacts of Roman origin have been found far beyond Britain, in Germany and the Balkans, even in Asia Minor, leading to speculation that the legion may have been redeployed or perhaps scattered by forces Rome itself could not control. The disappearance of the Ninth Legion remains one of history's most enduring puzzles, a symbol of how even the mightiest can vanish without a sound. In the icy north, there are legends of an entire Viking settlement in Greenland that disappeared in the 5th–10th century. They farmed, traded, built churches, and then nothing. When later explorers arrived, they found empty houses, tools left behind, graves undisturbed. The Vikings of Greenland had simply vanished. Climate change likely played a role, but local Inuit legends tell a different story, of ships that sailed west into the fog, following a ghost sun toward a promised land. Some believe these settlers reached North America centuries before Columbus, blending with native tribes and leaving faint genetic traces that still confuse modern scientists. The enigma deepens when we look beneath Europe's soil. In Poland and the Czech Republic, archaeologists have discovered vast circular earthworks called roundels, older than Stonehenge, laid out with astronomical precision. Yet there's no sign of who built them or why. In Ireland, under the Fields of Meath, the ancient site of Tara hides passages and chambers aligned with the stars. Legends say it was once the seat of a vanished race, the Tuatha Dé Danann, described as tall, radiant beings who came from the sky, ruled for centuries, and then disappeared into the earth. Some believe these myths preserve the memory of an advanced ancient people whose existence is now buried beneath layers of time and symbolism. Not all disappearances are ancient. In 1959, 9 experienced hikers died mysteriously in Russia's Dyatlov Pass. Their bodies found under bizarre circumstances, tents torn open from within, clothing removed despite freezing temperatures, strange radiation traces on some of their garments. The official explanations range from avalanche to infrasound to military experiments, but none fully fit the evidence. Though not technically within the borders of Western Europe, the Dyatlov mystery has become part of the continent's modern mythology. a haunting reminder that even in the age of reason, people can still vanish into the unknown, leaving only questions behind. Europe's history is like a jigsaw puzzle with missing pieces, and some of those pieces may have been deliberately hidden. Ancient manuscripts describing lost lands, maps showing islands that no longer exist, and accounts of vanished kingdoms that scholars can't locate. What if these aren't myths at all, but memories of real places erased by time or catastrophe? The drowned city of Helike in Greece was once thought mythical until archaeologists found its ruins beneath layers of silt, proving the story true. Could other lost European cities, like Lyoness, said to lie beneath the sea near Cornwall, also be real, waiting to be uncovered? There are even stories of entire villages vanishing within living memory. In the mountains of Eastern Europe, locals tell of hamlets where every inhabitant disappeared overnight, doors open, fires still burning. Official records note them only briefly, if at all, as if someone wanted these events forgotten. Were they victims of war, disease, or something stranger? Each account fades into rumor until all that remains is a whisper, a reminder that in Europe, even the land itself can swallow a story whole. From the Minoans to the Vikings, from Roman legions to modern explorers, Europe's landscapes are haunted by absences, people, cultures, and knowledge that simply vanished, leaving behind only traces that refuse to fit neatly into history's timeline. Some were lost to nature, some to time, and perhaps some to forces beyond our understanding, yet their silence still echoes across the continent, urging us to remember what the earth itself seems determined to conceal. From lost treasures buried beneath medieval cathedrals to vanished civilizations swallowed by the sea, from cryptic manuscripts to technologies centuries ahead of their time, Europe is a continent woven with mysteries. Every discovery seems to answer one question only to open a dozen more. It's as if the past is alive, shifting just beyond our reach, daring us to keep searching. We've uncovered hidden symbols carved into stone, artifacts that shouldn't exist, and stories of entire peoples who disappeared without a trace. We followed the whispers of the Knights Templar, the echoes of ancient astronomers, and the silent clues left by builders who seem to know the language of the stars. Together they form a tapestry that refuses to unravel, a reminder that history isn't just a record of what we know, but also of what we've forgotten. Perhaps Europe's greatest mystery is not buried under its soil or locked in forgotten libraries, but in the gaps between what we can prove and what we can only feel. Maybe the true story of Europe isn't a straight line from primitive to modern, but a circle, knowledge lost, rediscovered, and lost again, leaving behind fragments for each new age to find. And as we stand in the present, surrounded by ruins, legends, and unanswered questions, one truth becomes clear: the past still watches us. Every castle ruin, every unexplained monument, every line of undeciphered text seems to whisper the same challenge: look deeper. Because perhaps, hidden just beneath the surface of history, lies the greatest secret of all, that we have only begun to remember who we really are.